I don't believe it. That is why you fail.
Hello, everybody out there, and thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Smart Wars podcast, hosted by me, Lucas. So this podcast is designed specifically to help you pass the obstacles that are in front of you. By paying attention to that brief audio clip that we just listened to. Again, and if you've listened to my podcast, you know that I focused a lot on Luke, Yoda, and that dialogue, because so much of what took place on Dagobah with Luke and his growth and his progression towards becoming a Jedi, his interactions with Yoda, and even with Obi-Wan at that time, really helped him get through some internal obstacles that blocked his path to progress. When you listened to what he said to Luke, Yoda told him flat out, that is why you fail. Luke lacked belief in himself. You know, he's at this point where something that he held dear, this X-Wing that he had used to get to where he was, now it's sunk. And Yoda's trying to teach him there's no difference between a rock and a ship. He tells him, you've got to put forth the effort. Pull that ship out. Luke's response was kind of weak. Luke responded with, okay, I'll give it a try. And we talked about this before. If you listen to my other podcast, we discussed those points of where Yoda responded with him to do or do not. There is no try. In this instance, he focused completely on why Luke failed. It wasn't that he didn't have what it took. It was he lacked the belief in himself to make it happen. How many of you have gone through that? How many of you have struggled with something big in your life? Now, that could be anything. That could be the desire to, talk to somebody that you got a crush on. You're looking at that little filly over in the corner and you're like, ooh, she's kind of hot. But you're nervous. Why? Because maybe you think, she's too hot for me. I said the same thing about my wife. Yeah, I did. Because honestly, good grief, she's beautiful. I don't deserve her. She's been too good to me. She's also been annoying, and as my cousin and I discussed this morning, there's a possibility that she might be an alien. We're still trying to figure that one out. It's basically, the whole concept was that on The Simpsons, when there was a presidential election going on, it was Kang and Kodos. It came down and basically overtook the bodies of President Bill Clinton and Bob Dole. And we're basically strutting around all of Springfield and everywhere else, basically, working on their campaign promises. First they were like, abortions for some of you. It said abortions for all. They were like, boo. Okay, abortions for none. Boo. Okay, abortions for some. No abortions for the rest. It was ridiculous. It's such a crazy episode. And then, Homer, of course, he came up and, he ripped the skin off and they showed the head of the alien. And yeah, it was just ridiculous. And then, what a funny, ridiculous episode that was. But yeah, like my wife has really grown recently where she's cooking and she's going out looking for work and she's really elevating herself. And my cousin was like, dude, she might be an alien. I was like, ooh, well, that's true. Well, the question comes up, if she is, what kind? And what genre are we talking about? So, like, are we, discussing maybe some, a Wampa from, the ice planet of Hoth on Star Wars? Are we talking about maybe some other creature from the Star Trek universe? Or maybe it's a character from Doctor Who. Maybe it's a Slovene from Raxacorica or maybe a Jadoon. So, who knows what creature she might be? She could be hiding something. I must get to the bottom of this. Anyway, so that's off topic, completely off topic. We're here focusing on the internal belief system. So when we looked at Luke, he really struggled. He put forth an effort, but he really didn't believe that he had what it took to get his X-Wing out of the swamp. So there it was, and Yoda was like, dude, let me show you how it's done. And that little green guy goes out there and uses the Force, gets that X-Wing out, and it was like nothing for him. Wasn't it satisfying, though? Wasn't it satisfying? Yes, we do all admit the sequel trilogy. Somebody wrote this morning online that it's an alternate universe. It's an alternate timeline. Wouldn't that be great? I didn't hate them. There were aspects that I enjoyed, aspects that I despised. But you got to admit, the scene with Luke lifting that X-Wing out of the water, it was so satisfying. And you can even see Mark Hamill, the look on his face. He was smiling pretty good, recognizing like they were really putting him on that pedestal that he deserved. Because yes, this is Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master. And yes, that's the man we wanted. And we got it. We got it. May not have been a great movie. May have been all over the place. It wasn't a perfect trilogy. But there were certain things that I enjoyed. So, what about you? Where does your lack of belief come from? You know, my friends, we all live different lives. We all live in different parts of the world. And what we have experienced can absolutely shape how we think and how we feel about our life. Whether it's the life that we have led up to this point or the life that we are looking to live. Because there's years ahead of you where you can make changes at any point. However, some of us have dealt with a lot of garbage. Maybe it's a traumatic event. Maybe you were exposed to something at a very, what's the word I want to use for an age that's impressionable age? That's it. An impressionable age where something you should have never seen, you saw it. And it scarred you. It left something deep within your mind that you can't erase. And you really, really wish that you could get, a dry eraser or even the eraser with the chalk that used to be used in schools and just go in there and scrub until that memory's gone. I know I've got that. It was a guy that when I was a kid showed me something I should have never seen. And now as an adult, I'm looking back thinking to myself, dude, you realize what you've done? You realize all the damage you caused. Now, I could throw the blame on him, but in reality, as life went on, my decisions associated with what I was exposed to were my choices. However, when I went to my own therapist, I began to realize that it was certain moments in my childhood that had an impact on my mental development and what I was growing into. And I had to recognize those facts in order to put a stop to the behavior connected to that early life childhood trauma. So that could be what you need to look at. There's also bullying. How many of you have dealt with a bully? Whether it was at school or at home. Sometimes when it's at home, it's really, really destructive on so many levels. Because when you're at home, you absolutely expect and feel that you deserve, and that's the truth there. You absolutely deserve to be treated with love, family love at home. That's where it starts. Because who we are today is truly mapped out from our early years. And if it's a negative environment, if we're being pushed around, teased, bullied, made fun of, beaten, then it's going to create a negative attitude and a negative mindset where when we're in life and we're at a moment where we have to make a decision or we want to make a decision that's going to empower us and make us a better person, sometimes we won't make that decision because what we went through makes us feel like we don't have what it takes. Now, we don't know what Luke Skywalker went through as a child. Now, I've never read the Star Wars comics. Maybe there's a comic series that discusses that. But how did he grow up? We know that he grew up without his parents. His mother wasn't there. His dad wasn't there. And it wasn't until he was, late teens that he learned, no, it was probably early 20s when he learned who his dad was. And that was probably pretty traumatic for him. But he learned from it. He learned from it. And look how powerful he became. Yeah, we don't completely agree with what was going on in the sequel universe, but still, we saw how powerful Luke Skywalker became with the Force. So instead of looking at the trauma or the bullying from the perspective of, woe is me, this was a terrible thing, I wish it had never happened, and just focusing on the negativity and keeping us from making a positive choice, we can look at those situations and circumstances and say, well, what can I learn from it? What can I now no longer be? Because I've been through it. I've been through bullying. I've been through abuse. I've been through my own struggles and certain traumatic events in my life. And as an adult now, I'm now looking at it from the perspective of what can I learn? And what can I avoid from that behavior? In other words, what I saw that was being done, what can I do in my life to avoid those things so that I am not passing on that negative energy? I'm not sharing that and passing that on to the next person. Because you see, those events, my friends, they lead to low self-worth and guilt. And the reason why I include guilt is because oftentimes when we've gone through something that's terrible, that should have never ever happened, we end up doing things frequently that we regret. That's where the guilt comes in. When you have low self-worth, in other words, you've got low self-esteem, low self-confidence, you begin to look at certain areas of your life and feel like, I don't deserve this, and this isn't good, and I'm not happy, I'm not content. And then you start to break down that which should be beneficial and positive for you. There's a reason I'm on my second marriage. It's because I dealt with the childhood abuse. I dealt with the low self-worth, and I started to view things in other years of my life and other relationships negatively. And when you start to view it that way, you start to act accordingly. If that is not your goal, if that's not what you're trying to do with your life, you've got to turn it around inside your mind and inside your heart and start feeding yourself with positivity, surrounding yourself with positive people that can help you change how you think and how you feel about yourself. That way, when that obstacle of, as Luke saw before him, getting his X-Wing out of the water, when that is presented before you, absolutely nothing will hold you back and you will absolutely succeed with it. The question is can it be done? Can it be done? Can it be overcome? Can those obstacles, those difficulties, those childhood traumatic events, can those be overcome? Absolutely. Absolutely they can. There's nothing at all that stops you but you. You have to take active steps. So what steps can you take? I'm going to list 3 things. And this is just 3 things that you can do on your own time that is specifically just to build you up on how you feel. And I'm listing these things because it's stuff that I have done and I'm currently doing to my best ability, and it helps me now. All right? So, number 1, positive affirmations. These need to start out every single day. And it could be something very, very, very simple, such as, today's going to be a great day. If you say that to yourself every single day, it reprograms how you think. Because the mind is the most powerful computer on the planet. It absolutely is. If you do enough research, you find out that what our minds can do is almost unlimited. So if you really want unlimited power, like Palpatine was trying to get, program your brain. Start putting positive stuff in there. Start telling yourself good things about yourself. And I don't care. I really don't care if you don't believe it, because there's moments where I don't believe it. For example, when I wake up in the morning and I see that beautiful face looking at me, sometimes I'm like, I don't even believe this. How is she with me? But you know what? She is. She is. She's the woman that said I do when I was about to cash in my chips and kill myself. She's the woman that stood by me when so many other people abandoned me. So this means you've got to focus on the positive things that are already in your life. And you might have to dig, you might have to scrape, you might have to really, really get in deep and find those things. But once you find them, focus on those, focus on those, focus on those things. And then repetitively tell yourself good stuff about yourself. Say things like, I'm a good person, I'm a great person, I'm an amazing person, I'm funny, I'm witty, people like me, I'm energetic, I'm successful. And that might be you're having to project yourself. In other words, you have to think about what your life is going to be, what you want it to be, and start acting and thinking like you're already there. So let's say you're trying to have your own independent business, or you're just trying to be better, you're just trying to lose weight, you're trying to just think better, you're trying to be funny, you're trying to attract more people into your life, you're trying to get a date with that woman that seems to not even be interested. Then be the person you want to be. Don't be the person you don't like. Because you don't have to be a product of your past. You can be a product of the exact moment that you're living in right now. So again, something simple. Like today is going to be a great day. Because you know what? The sun is shining, you're breathing, you're alive, and you got people in your life that absolutely love you. So yes, today is going to be a great day. Number 2, exercising. So why this is important is on so many levels. We're not going to cover every single little detail about it, but one thing I'm going to say is that when you're in motion, so if you're physically moving, it makes it difficult for your emotions to be held down. When you're exercising, your heart rate is elevated and your blood starts to pump, and as you're trying your best to eat healthy, it's going to take that positive stuff that you've put into your body and it's going to carry it everywhere. So if you put stuff that your body can't process, unhealthy, fried food, garbage foods, not really good for you, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I do love a donut. I do love pizza. I do love tacos. I love the unhealthy stuff. But I've learned that like my struggles with depression in the past were all related to what I was putting into my stomach. But the more I changed my diet, and then I started exercising, and the exercising was showing results, and I was feeling good about myself, then that positivity is going to radiate, and other people are going to like it. The next thing that I want to suggest is that you do something positive that you enjoy. Find a hobby, or maybe spend time outdoors. Go for a walk, get some fresh air, get that vitamin D from the sun. That vitamin D is so powerful towards negative thinking and against it. It's so powerful towards depression and fighting off the depression. You've got to do things that you enjoy. But again, it's positive things that you enjoy. Because honestly, we probably have some habits in our life that are really not positive, they're really not good. We may have a level of enjoyment, but we know how self-destructive they are. That's where our self-hatred comes in. Because if there's self-hatred, we start to feed into those things that are really just tearing us down. So for example, right now, in this exact moment, as I'm recording this podcast, this is something that pumps me up. This is something that keeps me encouraged and motivated because I know that there's people out there that probably need to hear this. So I do this. It's not so much for me. Yeah, I do have my own goals I'm trying to reach, but I don't care if I don't reach them. The only thing I really care about is if I have a positive impact on somebody else, because I remember what it was like when I felt nobody cared, that I didn't matter, that I was absolutely invisible. I completely screwed up my life, and the only thing that would help it is if I killed myself. And you know what? If those positive people that were in my life were not there, I might not be here right now trying to reach other people. Because my wife and then my friend Eric, those are two physical people. And then my sisters, my late sisters, Gina and Morgan, and even my sister Eileen, they reached out to me and they stayed in touch and they helped me through those things. They helped me through those bad moments when I really wanted to give up. And I really, really miss my little sisters. I really miss them. I'll start crying if I get to talking about that. But my wife, Nika, she was there for me. She didn't stop. And my friend Eric, we don't stay in touch all the time, but he was there for me, 100%. Now, I try to leave out religion and Bible stuff from what I present publicly on my Facebook page and here at this podcast, but whether or not you believe in a creator, whether or not you believe in the Bible is not the point here. There is a proverb in the Bible, Proverbs 17:17. It says, a true friend loves all the time. And I just want you to think about that. If you've got people in your life, the positive ones, the ones that are true friends, they will love you all the time. Even if you've made a mistake, they're still going to love you, and they're going to be there for you to help you through it if they possibly can. So if you're to take anything away from this podcast at all, you're going to surround yourself at some point with people that are going to absolutely support and believe in you. But do you believe in yourself? Do you have the confidence within yourself that you can absolutely overcome any obstacle that has come your way? Because we've dealt with it. You're not alone at all. A lot of us here have dealt with so much garbage, and we've gotten through it. Not only have we gotten through it, we're better today because we took the time to learn from that experience. That's what Luke did. Luke Skywalker learned from his experiences with Yoda and his training and everything he did, even fighting and defeating his own dad. He learned from it and became the better person. If you want to succeed, look to find that belief within yourself and obliterate those obstacles that stand before you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast. I hope you benefited nicely from it. I hope you gained something personally profitable and that you will face the day with unstoppable energy. If you have listened to this on YouTube, which is where I share this predominantly, please do me a favor, smash that like button. And if you don't mind, go ahead and subscribe. That way you'll get updated every single time I upload a podcast. Feel free to make a comment in the comments below. And if you're connected with me on Facebook, feel free to contact me. I'd love to talk with you. Thank you again so much for your time. Have yourself an amazing day, and may the force